Has there been any news updates on the Jon Jones situation?
No, I haven't heard nothing.
That's so disappointing.
So makes me sad.
The Red Band insights on this one?
Yeah, that's right. You called the dick pills. Bro, I would just like to say for the record, Brian Redband completely called the dick pill thing. If I paraphrase, you were like, let me say, he parties, he does coke, he probably took some dick pills. And I was like, what? Jesus Christ, it made so much sense. It was like, how it was there right along the whole time.
I just remember the FDA.gov had breakdowns of certain Rhino dick pills at gas stations, and a lot of them had steroid type things in them.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up.
He's so crazy. He was taking that stuff.
He's probably still taking them.
Well, now I bet he would. I mean, now he's like, fuck it, I'll just take everything.
You could get addicted to him. I was addicted to him for a while. I don't know why.
I don't think he's addicted to it. The new thing that he tested positive for has nothing to do with that. They said that the new thing that he tested positive for is a steroid that they only test for in urine. And according to Chael Sonnen, it's like it's not a very common steroid, and it's actually kind of old school. It's like something they used to do a long time ago. So his thought was that if somebody is getting him to do that if that's not a tainted supplement, if someone's getting him to do that person knows their shit. Like that's some sneaky steroids.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said it's usually combined with other things.
Sounds so unfortunate, man.
I don't know if it's true.
Right.
He could have got sabotaged.
What's he saying? Is he saying
no one's saying anything?
Nah.
There's no official statement, I don't think. Because I think they're trying to test other samples. They tested a blood sample, and then they released the results of the blood sample. They always do a blood and a urine. The blood sample was negative, but the blood sample didn't test for that stuff. So I don't, you could speculate all day long. I'm sure as the facts come in, we'll get a better understanding of it. But it would be the most disappointing thing ever if someone spiked his shit. It'd almost be less disappointing if he took something and got caught than it would be if somebody tainted him.
That's why I'm saying he knows his past. It just seems ridiculous to think that he would even try. Even if it's old school or stuff they barely tested, it seems like why would he even risk that? Because he already went through that.
You're totally right, but being a cage fighter is a ridiculous way to make a living. Yeah. And people who are cage fighters, especially like elite level, like a guy like Jon Jones, that guy has like probably a belief in himself that you and I will never understand, and completely impulsive. And like what he decides. So he's a wild motherfucker. That's why he's so good. Because he's smart and he's wild. Like he's like legitimately wild. Takes wild chances. Like I always talk about like when he fought Shogun for the title. When he fought Shogun for the title, he opened up the fight with a flying knee. That was the first thing he did. Fighting a legend. Fighting a UFC light heavyweight champion. I mean, he was crazy talented. And still is, right? I mean, he's only 30. But he's a wild man. And wild men sometimes do shit that they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it, And if you're a guy that's that powerful as a guy like Jon Jones, like try controlling him. Good luck. Good luck telling him he can't go out. Good luck telling him what he's got to do. It's one of the things about him in the past is that he hasn't trained hard for fights, and they were way harder fights than they should have been probably because he really wasn't in shape, and everyone around him kind of knew it, but he was that good that he could fight world-class title challengers and beat them in 5-round fights without really training. Like, that's how goddamn good that guy is. So you and I, we don't know how his brain even works. So who knows what the fuck happened? I hope he didn't do something, but then again, that means that one of two things happened. Either he took a tainted supplement, which is after a while almost becomes a joke.
Right.
Like people keep saying that. Hey, stop taking supplements. Or even worse, is someone spiked him.
Yeah, the spiking thing, because it would seem like
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. You could do that to somebody, though, for sure. I mean, if somebody is around someone with nefarious intentions, or someone's around someone who's resentful, and you're in some sort of pro-fight camp, and someone just decides, fuck this guy, and just dump some stuff on your chicken.
Steroid cream in your hand cream?
I think there's things they could do to get it into your system. You probably wouldn't even know what
the test that came up positive, I guess, is the one that happened, right? It was after the weigh-in, right?
Yes. It's a urine test.
He wasn't tested at any time before that?
I'm sure he was. They were tested multiple times in camp.
So wouldn't it have probably come up then?
Not necessarily.
Or he just took
because
a
it's
stat
really
day or
like,
something?
well, if I don't know like what kind of time period they tested him in, and I don't know what kind of half-life this stuff has, because apparently Chael Sonnen was telling Brendan Schaub that it gets out of your system quite quick, and that's one of the things that guys like about it. Apparently, that you could do it and it gets out of your system really quick. You would have to find out like how much time do they usually have in between visits by USADA, and what are the odds they're going to get busted. Like how many times during camp are they willing to roll the dice? Say if they have a 24 or 48 hour acting steroid, how many times can you roll the dice? USADA visited you 3 times. You gonna roll the dice this week? Roll it. Come on, I want to have a hard workout Thursday. Fuck it, let's roll the dice. You roll the dice. 27 hours, no USADA. 28, you wake up in the middle of the night sweating. 30 hours, no USADA. You know if they come, your fucking career's over, and they take away millions of dollars. 40 hours, whew, you're peeing. No USADA. The next day, USADA. You start thinking, 52 hours? How many is that? How many hours is that? How many has it been? 48, 49, 50, 51, 53 hours. 53 hours. It's got to be gone, right? It's got to all be gone. And you give them that piss, just wondering whether it's in there.
And I'm sure there's stuff that you can take that supposedly washes it out faster, like any kind of drug test. You know, like weed tests, I remember, I think it was like cranberry juice or something you just constantly drank.
There's certain diuretics for sure. Certain diuretics can mask steroids. It's one of the reasons why they're illegal.
I'm looking at this article that came out about an hour ago, it looks like, on Bloody Elbow. That's not like any updated news or anything really. It's a PED expert who's known in the track and field world as known for supplying performance-enhancing drugs to them. His name is Angel Hernandez, also known as Memo. Not that that matters a whole lot, but if anybody knows him.
What Angel Heredia Hernandez. Yeah. But Angel Heredia, is that the same guy that used to train Manny Pacquiao?
I don't know.
Or no? Or is it who the fuck did? There was a guy that was like a really popular. God damn it! I know I got his name wrong.
But
strength and conditioning coach.
He's saying that the test that they do tests for 6 different particular metabolites, and one of those can last up to 7 weeks. And then skip down to here. He says that one of those metabolites can look like the same structure as the Turinabol. And it may or may not. It doesn't mean that it's not Turinabol or whatever, but it could be from a bad supplement that he took during the training period that lasted in his system and ended up looking like it.
Ooh, interesting.
But that's
Listen to this quote. Saying. Listen to this quote. If he would have been using way before then, he eventually would have been positive on the 21-day testing before the fight, but he was negative. Then he came out positive. Frankly, the testing itself, it lacks of credibility for a lot of reasons. We could go on, and I could be very specific in terms of chemistry, but I don't want to mislead the people that listen. It's just the fact that they are detecting 6 different metabolites, and one of them stays there longer than 7 weeks. But the most intriguing part is that some of those metabolites are not really confirmed that they are actually coming from that, how do you say that? Turinabol? Turinabol structure. All right, but USADA, who's doing this, they know what the fuck they're doing, and they're not going to come out with a result unless they're super sure that that's what they're tested positive for. I don't know if this guy's right.
That's what I don't know either. He's just sort of speculating, I would imagine. I don't know if he wasn't there either. But
I tell you, I talked to Jeff Nowitzki off mic, on mic. I talked to him around the arena. He's about as honest as it comes when it comes to like handling these situations with these athletes. They're catching people, and the people they're catching we're using. There's, the way they're doing it is very thorough. The way they're handling it is very thorough, and there hasn't been anybody with a credible story that came forth that didn't have something in their system that they were supposed to have in their system. We haven't had a case of that yet, as far as I know. I think almost all cases have been either tainted supplements or someone getting caught, whether it's taking a diuretic or someone getting caught taking a steroid. There's a lot going on like that, and he's got, they have a team of people that are just constantly checking people that might be cheating.
I guess you have to also say it's where there's smoke, there's fire. How many fighters never have a steroid, in them,
There's a few, like BJ Penn. I'm sure there's, I used to think it would be John Fitch, but then John Fitch tested positive. He was, but he was getting older, and he was fighting in the World Series of Fighting. Wasn't in the UFC anymore, and and he might have been dealing with some serious injuries. Needed to pay his bills through fighting. Like, I don't begrudge anybody, especially when they're not even in the UFC. And the testing that they do in a lot of these organizations is like, there's a lot of organizations that have guys that are pretty much openly using. And what they do is they have these guys fight on like Indian reservations or fighting weird states that have an athletic commission that doesn't really adhere to the rules, or doesn't have to, and it's not very strict. But especially the Indian reservation thing, Native American reservations, they do whatever the fuck they want, man. They're a country inside our country. But USADA, they look up your ass, man. They look up your ass. They come get you. They come get you, and they wake you up. Hey, man. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm going to look at your dick, and I'm going to watch piss come out of your dick. And it's going to go in this cup, and then you can go back to sleep. It's no joke. And to see a guy like Jon with just spectacular comeback fight. I mean, like a phoenix, he rises from the ashes. He gave this really classy post-fight speech. He won by just overwhelming devastation. I mean, it was a beautiful combination with the left high kick, then a series of shots. Daniel goes down. He just beats him unconscious in a spectacular performance. And then to find out that it's tainted by some fucking gross steroid. They were sneaking in. Is it either that or, again, the other one, which is almost equally gross, that somebody gave it to him? Like somebody gave him some, hey, man, hey, champ, have this Gatorade, champ. Hey, champ, I got you a Gatorade, champ. Crack.
And they're very accessible, these fighters. They're just going to the gyms like you go to a lot of times.
Hey, man, if you're not fighting Jon, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Great guy. People love him. I think that we don't know, It just makes me sad. It makes me sad. But one day they'll have it eradicated. But by then, I think there's going to be some new methods. I think they're going to have genetic methods. That's the next one. They're not pretty close, but they're pretty close to being able to alter embryos and to be able to change like genes in people, maybe even shut off dangerous genes, like genes for Alzheimer's and different diseases that people have. They might be able to literally create the tools to edit that in the embryonic stage. This is something called CRISPR, and that's one of the things that they're using to alter genes. It's like CRISPR, I think it is.
Did you see the video of someone used it to make like neon green beer or something like that?
They use CRISPR to make neon green beer?
Yeah.
What did they use?
I'll pull it up real quick.
So they did something to the wheat?
Awesome.
They made a new color chocolate. The first time in like 100 years, they made a new chocolate.
Oh, we're fucking around with nature.
Yeah.
God. That's why Hurricane Irma is going to eat Florida.
That